Good old Beastmen. These guys were actually one of the first races that I learned to play really competitive with in multiplayer. I mean, they have plenty of weaknesses, and the micromanaging with them can be extremely good for training yourself to get better at skirmishing and commanding an army in competitive. Today we're going up against Tombkings, and similar to the Greenskins, these guys have struggled against races like Tombkings that can bring large monsters. Probably the second hardest army for them to face, other than the vampire counts, against a good player. But I love a challenge, and I'm always looking to improve myself and get better at the game. But I just have to say, this was an amazing game, and a perfect example of why I keep coming back and playing Total War Warhammer. And let's get right into this match. So as for the build, obviously going up against Tombkings, you have to be very careful with the amount of constructs they can bring. So we have got Malagor, the Dark Omen here. He does have Vile Tide, which is a nice little AoE spell. I mean, it's really good at getting rid of fucking skeletons that, you know, you can get spammed against. But also they're really good against the Tomb Guard as well. But we also have Mantle of Gorok as well, which obviously gives that weapon damage, melee attack, and armor piercing damage, which is very, very nice. But it does lower the armor. But that's not too bad for, you know, the Beastmen who don't happen to have much armor anyway. But we do, talking about armor, we do have Korok's Manrippers, which do have armor. These guys obviously have Regiment of Renown. They do have the anti-large, which is fucking needed against Tombkings. But with that as well, to deal with the anti-large, we've got two Gorballs here. I mean, Gorballs are definitely needed. I mean, you could say take Minotaurs, because Minotaurs obviously have more mass and they can sort of block constructs up. But the reason I don't take Minotaurs against Tombkings is because Minotaurs are very vulnerable to Upshabity, so you have to be very, very careful. But as I say, this was a really, really well played game. So obviously we're moving up here. WARHERD's in the front line. Behind them we do have Ungor Spearmen, just in case my opponent does bring two Necro Sphinxes. Of course, you know, got to be careful about, you know, those, because if you bring two of them, you know, they will absolutely annihilate your front line. So make sure I bring a lot of anti-large. Got some Ungor Raiders. Obviously, the Upshabity have started shooting into my Gorball, so I do send them into the forest there, trying to obviously, you know, avoid some of those hits. On the east flank, we do have some Centaurs as well. Obviously, Centaurs versus Nekahara Horsemen. I don't actually know who would win that matchup. I imagine the Centaurs might win that matchup just. Obviously, they're not the Centaurs with great weapons. They're just normal standard Centaurs. But as you can see on this left flank here, we do have a little bit of a charge going off. I don't believe I got my charge off on those Nekahara Horsemen, but we are sending some Spearmen nearby, obviously, to help out with that. We've got the same sort of thing happening on the right flank here, but both of us are bringing our Spearmen, and my opponent does have one more Nekahara Horseman on that left side, or that left flank, so I don't want to engage there. But the main engagement is going to happen here. We are pushing in. The Upshabity are still shooting in, but, you know, they actually haven't done much damage to the Gorballs. But we're pushing in now. WARHERD's fighting against Skeleton Warriors, which is good, but the Tomb Guard versus WARHERD is going to be a very, very hard one for me. Left flank, we have got WARHERD. We've got the Centaurs charging in against the Nekahara Warriors, which actually is a really good engagement for me. Of course, Cetra has pushed in. She is starting to... Oh, what's I say? It's a he, isn't it? Not a she. He is starting to smack everything around here. We do actually have a Vile Tide going down there, doing some nice damage to the Tomb Guard over there. We are moving with the Korok's Manrippers as well, trying to get that bonus versus large. Both, well, I think one Gorball is going in, but as I say, a lot of micromanaging is happening right now. Obviously, I don't want to charge in and get my Centaurs attacking his Nekahara Horseman with Spearmen nearby, and same for him as well, vice versa. My opponent does have two Tomb Princes as well, obviously with bonus versus large, so I've got to be very careful with those guys. One of my Gorballs has taken quite a bit of damage from the Upshabity who are shooting in, but say both Gorballs are about to get onto Cetra, the Imperishable, and both Tomb Princes. Obviously they have got that physical resistance for him, but as I say, Gorball versus Tomb Princes, I mean, I imagine the Tomb Princes probably would win in a one-on-one fight, but then again, we are getting in there with some Spearmen as well. I'm pulling back the Korok's Manrippers. They were fighting against the Tomb Guard there, and I don't want that. That would be a really bad engagement for me. But as I say, the main engagement is happening here on this right flank. On my left flank, things are wavering a little bit here. We have got some Spearmen fighting against some Nekahara Horsemen, which is good, but they have got onto my Ungor Raiders, so things aren't too good right now. On the right flank as well, my Centaurs have got onto the Nekahara Horsemen, which is really good for me, and the Spearmen have prevented his Spearmen from getting in, which is very, very nice. But the Korok's Manrippers versus Cetra are coming in. We have got the Blessed Blade of Pitra, which obviously lowers melee attack, accuracy, and melee defense. Melee defense with that fire damage as well. But at the moment, we are trying to do as much damage as we can to Cetra. He already has taken quite a bit of damage, almost down to half HP, but the Upshabity are still shooting in. One Gorball has taken a lot of damage as well from both of those Tomb Princes, and he's just being gangbanged to death here, which is just unfortunate. Both those Tomb Princes, we're doing a bit of an equal trade here. Basically, I'm trying to get on Setcher, he's trying to kill my Gorbel, and, you know, it's a relatively easy trade. Balance power, slightly in my opponent's favour right now, but we're still, you know, we're not out of this just yet. Setcher just pulled back out very wisely. Of course, he is faster. Another Vile Tide going down there on those Nekahara Warriors, doing some nice damage. The front lines here, you know, it is a bit hard for the Beastmen, because you've got to deal with Nekahara Warriors and Tomb Guard, and they will beat your front line unless you have a Bestigor herd, which obviously is very, you know, you don't really usually bring Bestigor herds because obviously they're very expensive, and they usually get annihilated by things like Setcher on his like Necro Sphinx. We're still shooting in here on to Setcher with those Ungol Raiders, but my opponent makes one fatal mistake here. Bounce power was in his favour, but he leaves both his Tomb Princes here unprotected. Now you may be thinking, well, can't they just run away? No, they fucking can't. I have fucking Centaurs here, which have won the fight on the right flank now. So now I get a beautiful opportunity here. Shut down one of his Tomb Princes, getting annihilated there. And the second one is just tied up. So the Gorbel goes in. We've got the Koroks Man Rippers coming in, and things are starting to go back into my favour now. Somehow we have managed to get both my opponent's Tomb Princes here and basically killed them off, which is so good. I was really happy with this. Obviously, I was thinking that this game was already going to be a loss, but as I say, as soon as I killed both these Tomb Princes with that Gorbel's final swing, you know, things were looking up for me. I am using Malagor here right now. Malagor was great during this match. He was basically just a sort of like chaff killer. I basically sent him in on all the Tomb Guard and the Nekahara Warriors here to sort of deal with them and tie them up with the Centaurs. But Setcher is coming back in. The Gorbel's going in. We have got the Koroks Man Rippers coming in, and we are shooting into him with the Ungol Raiders as well. So we are getting some nice missile damage. Obviously, he is quite highly armoured with that 95 armour, but still, that was a mistake. Vile Tide. I definitely didn't mean to use that Vile Tide there. That was a mistake. I believe I was trying to use Deadly Onslaught, I think. Oh, not Deadly Onslaught. I thought I was trying to... Ah, there we go. Mantle of Gorok. I think I was trying to use that on the Spearmen, yeah, to obviously give them some armour-piercing damage as well. Get them up there with the Goroks Man Rippers as well. But we're still shooting into, obviously, Setcher, but we do have the Shabbaty Summon coming, and obviously this is one of the Tombkings, you know, back pocket abilities. Summoning a Shabbaty can be a really fucking annoying. They are armor piercing, anti-infantry, so I am sending some Ungol Spearman herds to deal with that in the back there, but things are looking pretty hairy. Malagor is in there. He's trying to tie up the Tomb Guard and the Nekahara Warriors, and he's doing a good job of it. But, of course, my opponent is trying to get those Nekahara Warriors onto my Goroks Man Rippers, and I really don't want that because that would just be a really bad trade for me. So, obviously, my opponent's been very smart here, keeping Setcher in the middle of them, forcing me to fight them. Malagor still in a bit of a bad situation here. He's in there with Setcher. We do get some Spearmen actually on to the Shabbaty in the back there, which I was really happy about. And, you know, the Shabbaty are really a real pain because they're very fast. And obviously, if you don't have a dedicated anti-large, like, sort of fast unit to get on them, they can be very hard to shut down. Right now, we're doing a tactical retreat and get a lovely Vile Tide here on my opponent. Getting a nice amount of those Nekahara Warriors here, you know, trying to prevent my opponent from blobbing, you know, trying to get my opponent to blob up here. We are getting onto the Shabbaty in the back, though. I know it's probably a waste trying to fight these guys, but I really just wanted to get rid of them because they were just being an absolute pain. Obviously, they do decay after a certain amount of time, but if I could get rid of them quicker, then hopefully I could deal with this, you know, this sort of force here. We do have a Invocation of Cursed Blades going down, obviously giving that armor piercing and bonus versus large. So obviously, if you guys don't know, if you use an overcasted Invocation of Cursed Blades, actually will give bonus versus large to a unit. Obviously, that will be very good at taking out my Gorbel here. So I was trying to fall back with my Gorbel. I still got some units coming back. Got some Gore Herd survived. Got some Ungol Spearman Herd coming back. And as I say, we're still going. My opponent does get some Nekahara Horsemen onto my Ungol Raiders, which obviously I want to prevent at all costs, so I'm sending the Gorbel in with that bonus versus large to get on them straight away. The Shabbaty still have a bit of ammunition, which is a real pain. This Ungol Raiders here are basically going to get annoyed. They're just doing what damage they can to Setcher, of course. Setcher don't have, you know, obviously can't, you know, doesn't really have any heal spells, so that is very nice for me. But we're sort of resetting here. Both of us are sort of resetting. I'm trying to get rid of all these Nekahara Warriors here because I just want them dead. We've got another Invocation of Protection going down here, obviously physical resistance, very nice. Don't believe it was overcasted for more of a duration, but my Gorbel does rout. Obviously the Shabbaty have done their work. I was thinking about bringing the Butchers of Kalangar, but then I thought, you know, if he brings the Regiment of Renown of Shabbaty, they will have Shield Breaker. Trying to fall back now with these Ungol Spearheads. I realise here that it isn't working, so once again trying to get what damage I can on Setcher here. But things are very close now. My Gorbel is basically my last sort of hope with the anti-large. I still have the Koroks Man Rippers, but of course they are very low on Vigor, and their leadership isn't very good. And of course, Setcher does cause fear and terror, so those guys can rout very easily if they get fear and terror out. So I've got to keep Malagor, you know, very close to them. We actually have got a, what is that ability? I can't remember now. It is the Wraith of Picture, is it? I think it's the Wraith of Picture, yeah, coming down, doing that obviously nice little AoE damage. But falling back now, Setcher is. And yeah, as I say, things are just so close. Balance power is still very even. I am getting some Ungol Spearheads still onto Shabati. We haven't actually killed a model yet, which is a real fucking annoyance. But basically, my opponent here couldn't quite decide what to do with Setcher right now. I wasn't sure whether to help the Shabati or come and attack my front line right now, because basically he's only got his Tomb Guard here as his last sort of resort here on units to deal with my front line. And yeah, if he doesn't help them. So right here, he's trying to get onto my Ungol Raiders, but luckily, obviously, Beastmen are quite fast, especially with Malagor's like sort of speed ability he does have. I can't remember what it's called, actually. We can have a look quickly. It's called the Primal Fury. Yeah, it does speed units nearby, so very, very good at catching up to anything. A bit like the Skaven Scurry ability, or Strength in Numbers, I believe it is. But yeah, Invocation of Cursed Blades going down, giving them armor piercing damage. So that actually is going to help them a lot against the Korok's Man Rippers. But Settra is looking to come in. I've still got some Ungol Spearman herds here. I've still got, you know, 3 of them here. The Korok's Man Rippers and the Gorbel. So things, you know, are looking up for me. I feel like this is definitely a winnable situation. But Settra, obviously the anti-infantry armor piercing damage is very, very good. Charging in here, he is using Invocation of Protection and the Best Blade of Pitra, using that minus melee attack and defense, which is really annoying. But as I say, there is so much bonus for large going on in here that, as I say, it is very, very hard. But obviously, my opponent's trump card here is the Abshabati. I haven't been able to kill them all game, so now these guys can come in and start smacking units as well. So basically, this is the last, you know, sort of fight here. You know, my last chance to sort of close this out. I'm sending Malagor onto the Ashavati, trying to tie them up because I don't want them fighting with my spearmen. I want the spearmen to only be fighting on Setcha. The Ungol Raiders are still shooting in. The Korok's Man Rippers are coming back, and this is so close. Balance of power is still really, really even. The Gorbel still hasn't died on 600 HP. I'm literally just spam clicking at this point on Setcha. Setcha is using all his abilities as well. Invocation of Cursed Blades going down again. Weapon damage and armor piercing damage. I'm still using Malagor, trying to tie up here. Obviously, that is a perfect example of the Gorbel's mass being, you know, basically shut down, being bounced around. He shouldn't be like that, you know. He should be, like, standing his ground. But, you know, hey-ho, what can you do? Setcha here getting very, very low. Bounce power does sort of go in my favour here. So we are, right now, in my head, I'm just thinking, right, if we can kill Setcha, I've got this. But my Gorbel does get a little bit surrounded here, getting, you know, attacked by those of Shawties. I'm trying to deny them here. Obviously, my opponent now is doing the cycle charging sort of game here, which is understandable. I respect that. I mean, obviously, you know, running out and then cycle charging makes sense, obviously. But we are still getting some nice damage. Setcha only on about 1,000 HP now. We are still pushing in and attacking him. Malagor still trying to tank up all these units here. And I say, unfortunately, the Gorbel here is on the verge of routing. And unfortunately, does route here. The Korok's Man Rippers are getting in there. I'm still trying to keep them alive with the encouragement from Malagor here, but as I say, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Unfortunately, the Gorbel does route off here. Balance of power is still so close. The Gorbel does come back, but then suddenly routes instantly. Obviously, Fear and Terror taking its effect. Ungol Spearmen do come back in, trying to help what they can here, but unfortunately, it isn't going to be enough. So now it is Malagor against the world, and unfortunately, Malagor here isn't obviously the best in combat. He's not the strongest Beastmen lord when it comes into combat. Obviously, you take him for the spell casting and nothing else. And now he's just going to be bullied by these Ashabati and Setcha, who can just keep pushing him over, charging in. My Korok's Man Rippers do come back. Obviously, I'm trying to get them into combat as quickly as possible. But as I say, Setcha's Fear and Terror is going to be taking place now. And unfortunately, Malagor does rout. And everything else on my field does rout. But very, very well played to my opponent. That, in my opinion, that could have gone either way. But very, very well played. Actually, just have a look at the stats. I was kind of curious about what I had to do. So Malagor actually got decent amounts, sitting at 79. You know, obviously that could have been, that was, you know, on the Skeleton Spearman, obviously on, actually, whoa, the Kepahara Guard, the Tomb Guard actually got a load of kills. See, so that's the problem. Obviously, dealing with Tomb Guard, anti-infantry, really hard for the Beastmen to deal with. Obviously, I could have used Ungol Raiders and tried to shoot at them. That probably would have been a smarter move in that combat. Nekahara Horseman got a bunch of kills as well, but I was kind of happy with how I played that. The Gorbels definitely got, one of the Gorbels definitely got catched out there, and that was my mistake. But then again, same for my opponent, you could say his Tomb Princess got catched out. Setcha obviously did work there. The Ashabati did a good amount of damage. One of my Warherds got a lot of kills. Some Spearmen did some good work. Yeah, but it wasn't too bad. I guess when it comes to you know, like, when it comes to, like, you know, how to play against them. For Beastmen, I mean, you can take Morgur, the Shadow Gave, but I find that him, you know, obviously you've got the, you can take the Chaos Spawn, which is very, very helpful. But against Tombkings, I find that obviously their constructs are your real problem. What you could take is Morgo the Shadowgave. You could take, obviously he has got that regen, so he's going to survive a lot longer. You take him, obviously you take your Stave of Ruinous Corruption, which gives you the Chaos Spawn summon as well. But then you could take a guy on a Chariot. That's always good. Obviously you get the Jag Dagger, which obviously gives you more Winds of Magic. But there's a few different ways you can play against them. Obviously, I did want to bring the Butchers of Kalangard, but I think, as I said, like Tombkings, where are Tombkings? They can take that. Where is it? It's the Chosen of the Gods of Shabati. Obviously, they have got that Shield Breaker ability. So obviously, I didn't want to bring that and risk that. And once again, bringing Minotaurs. Sorry, not, Minotaurs with anti-large. I like bringing these guys against vampire counts, without a doubt, because obviously they can't be shot by missile damage, but against Tombkings of Shabati would, get into them quite a lot. Maybe some Sons of, maybe some Centaurs with great weapons might have made a difference there. I think that could have definitely won me the Cav fight, without a doubt. I don't like bringing the Razor Gore Chariots. I don't find they're good enough. Maybe Centaurs with throwing axes, but yeah, I mean, I think that could have gone either way, so I stick by the build I brought. Maybe if I had to make one change, maybe the Destroyers of Drakwold. Obviously, they do have that poison, so that might have slowed down and allowed me to get onto some Cetra a bit more easy. But yeah, very well played to my opponent. Definitely a really fun game and a perfect example of why I love playing this game. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.